Hi, friends. I go by the name of Host Eric, and I'm the Westo Itaquiendo de Famios EDP Leo plays. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but it's an internet television program where everything's always okay, which is pretty impressive. I'm not sure the chat's working. Let's see. Bliggity bloggity. Let's put bliggity bloggity in here. Blig. Did it work? Well, I see it, but I don't know if you see it or not. Hey, it's working. Good. Well, I'm on antibiotics, so my tooth isn't hurting so much anymore. Hi, Lauren Cuthbert. It's going pretty well. I just woke up. I made myself a cup of coffee. Took my antibiotic. Took a couple of Adderalls. Basically, at the moment, I am just waiting for the drugs to take effect. Those drugs will give me energy, pep, energy, and ep. Am I suffering? No, not right now. I was suffering. That's why I had to go to the dentist. But guess how much it is the absolute worst, Lauren Cuthbert. It's horrible. My position is human teeth are evidence of a basic design flaw in human beings. It's like they're not designed to last as long as the rest of you. You might say, well, it's modern diet or something, fine, but I still say design flaw. You know how much it's going to cost to get my teeth done? $10,000. $10,000 is how much it's going to cost. Well, they're doing 8 extractions, okay? 6 root tip and 2 surgical. And I'm gonna have to get a partial denture. So, yeah, I'm sure. I looked at the X-ray too. I mean, I know what's going on with my mouth. It's a mess. 8 extractions in a sitting seems a bit much. They're not putting me under general, which I'm glad about. I don't like going under general anesthesia. No, I'm not being ripped off or anything like that. My mouth is genuinely that much of a mess. The reason this side of my mouth is okay is that I already put 10 grand into that side of the mouth. No, my parents are going to pay for it. My dad's going to pay for it. I don't have the money for that. And, you know, the funny thing is, of course, I hate it. I hate, more than anything, having to hit up my dad for anything. So I was just never going to mention these tooth issues and just deal with it myself, you know. But Super Bowl Sunday, we were all watching Super Bowl, and my teeth started hurting so badly I couldn't hide it. And my dad got mad at Rachel for not telling him that this was going on. So yeah, that's just reality. It's like there might have been a time in my life when I could afford on my own to shell out 10 grand for dental work. I mean, I guess there was a time on my own in my life when I could have done that, but yeah, not right now, that's for sure. So fortunately, I'm loved, you know. It's like the thing is, for all of my loathing, the need to rely on anybody, my dad's mostly mad that I didn't tell him about it 3 weeks ago, you know. He's a good guy. The reason I don't like to do general anesthesia is because it's a little more dangerous, you know. I don't like the feeling of coming out of general anesthesia either. So I'm happy enough they're not using general. But I prefer no general. I mean, on some level, I know it would be easier under general, but I don't want to die. I don't really trust general anesthesia. General anesthesia, you get put to sleep. Local, they just numb your whole face. So I'm gonna get local. And yeah, it's gonna be a shitty Saturday. Well, one thing that's interesting about the local general question is when I was having an operation done on my hand here, they tried to do it under local, but this is back when I was 18. But they gave me like Demerol or something, and it made me loopy. So it's like I was sitting there on the operating table going, "Oh, I can't feel my arm," and they had to put me under. And when I woke up, it was miserable. It was one of the most miserable experiences of my life, waking up from that general anesthesia in this cold hospital, like morgue type place. And I really super had to go pee, and I couldn't pee because of, I don't know. It's like I just couldn't go pee. Maybe all the drugs they gave me were making my prostate clench or something. I'm not sure, but it was awful. I don't ever want to go under general again, ideally. That was when I was 18. It was such a negative experience waking up from general anesthesia that to this day, I still don't ever want to go under it again. I mean, kidney stones, I bet, are worse than childbirth. The vagina, at least, is designed to have babies come out of it. The penis is not designed to have little rocks come out of it. It's like, it sounds so painful. It sounds just like awful. Oh, I don't want to have those, that's for sure. No kidney stones for me. Winston's mom, if you ordered me kidney stones from Amazon, can you please cancel that order? I don't want kidney stones, I've decided, after all. I know I was talking about how excited I was to get some, but I've changed my mind. Well, Lauren Cuthbert, you're just going to have to return those. Hopefully, you can still get your money back. Another day. Sleeping gas mask is general anesthesia. In the dentist office, they typically use nitrous oxide for putting you under. I kind of wonder about that using nitrous, because having done nitrous oxide plenty myself, it seems like a brain cell fryer, for Valentine's Day. Rachel asked me yesterday. See, this is the thing about girls, right? Yeah, nitrous oxide you do in the balloons. What she asked to me yesterday was, what should I tell people when they ask me what we're doing for Valentine's Day? I'm like, well, no, I'm not saying that as a general rule, nitrous oxide is particularly dangerous, or that, this is the question. Who can tell me what quote is the title of this video? What movie is the title of this video quote from? The title of this video is a quote from a movie. Well, I mean, the thing is, you got to think about how nitrous oxide works. Is why, leaf trimmer. It deprives the brain of oxygen. So, you've decided to stay home today, Hot? You sure that's wise? The library is expecting you to put the books back on the shelves. No, I think it has to do with their 6th slot, my 8th slot. So it's like I'm susceptible to pressure in my 8th slot, and she's susceptible to thinking that the solution to everything is doing something. You know, it's like if she can't TESI it, then do something. It's like 6th slot. Yes, Sean O'Neill. We are men of action. Lies do not become us. Well, I mean, look, I'm not telling other people not to get general anesthesia. I'm saying I had a bad experience when I was 18, and it is true that a certain percentage of people who go under general anesthesia don't wake up. So that's why I don't want to go under general anesthesia. I'm not trying to tell you it's inherently bad, okay? I'm not trying to advise you against it. I'm not trying to universalize my opinion about general anesthesia, okay? Email Anthrax, I did not ignore your question. I answered it silently. Janine L., I think it was a way of Rachel asking me to do something for Valentine's Day, but I also actually think that that's a girl's primary concern about Valentine's Day. The main reason girls care about Valentine's Day is because other girls ask them what they're doing on Valentine's Day. That's my hypothesis. It has nothing to do with actually liking Valentine's Day or anything. It has everything to do with, other girls are judging your relationship based on whether your boyfriend does something for you on Valentine's Day that's appropriately romantic or something. So it may have been Rachel trying to nudge me into doing something for Valentine's Day, which is fine. I have no problem doing something for Valentine's Day. But I think it's mostly because, like, when she's talking to Ronnie Fox or her other friend Jen in New York or whatever, and they say, "What are you doing for Valentine's Day?" She really wants to have an answer that is appropriate or something. I'm saying hospitals knowingly are allowing this to happen. 30%. Where'd you get 30% from? %30 of what? I don't know what you're talking about. I never said any 30% of anything. If lies do not become us, what happens if someone doesn't have the ability to know truth and only knows truth as a perception? Well, I mean, it is the case that not all untruths are lies, right? So some people are more susceptible to what you would call misapplied interpretation. In other words, some statements are very clear cut and they're either true or false. And if you're saying one, you're telling the truth, and if you're saying one, you're lying. Other things, people don't think necessarily are open to lying. For example, if I'm telling you how I feel, I've historically felt as though that's an arbitrary status you get to assign arbitrarily. You can't really lie about how you feel because you don't actually feel anything. that's indicative of the fact that when it comes to FI, I'm like emailed Anthrax was saying there. I'm not really capable of recognizing truth from perception. And so for ESFPs, that's going to be the same way with their TI, with any kind of logical thing. But we all have an area where we aren't really capable of distinguishing truth from lies. And the thing is, in that case, we're not really lying. It's just a handicap. Like when my dad hypothesizes that the missing plastic container from the drawer is gone because someone's walking through our house in the middle of the night taking plastic containers, he's not being dishonest. That's his genuine, crazy, shitty NI. Crazily shitty NI. That's his honest, shitty NI. But it's not the truth, right? So I agree with what Janine says there. The line includes some intention to deceive. No, I did not say that, Leaf Trimmer. I said that some people who are going to general anesthesia don't wake up. No, I did not say any percentage at all. I have no idea what the percentage is. I'm assuming it's very small. No, you misheard me. Go back, rewind, listen again. I never said anything of the sort. Well, Boba Fett, I agree that if, depending on the nature of the surgery, I would prefer to be under general than local if it were a serious surgery. When I had my appendix out in 5th grade, they put me under general. And I am not saying people should never go under general anesthesia. I'm not saying that general anesthesia isn't safe. I'm saying that general anesthesia is less safe than local. Basically, I'm saying I reject the Jordan Peterson strategy. I don't want to be put into a medically induced coma to kick benzos. When it's reasonable for me to avoid general anesthesia, I try to avoid it. That's all I say. I never said anything about any 30%. Nothing of the sort. I would assume that the percentage of people who don't wake up from general anesthesia is less than 1%. I'm quite confident that if I were to go under general anesthesia, it wouldn't be a problem. You might die. It's not our problem. Eric Strauss. No, Delilah's never had to undergo general anesthesia. She's hurt herself kind of badly a couple of times. She broke her arm one time, and she fucked up her knee one time pretty badly playing basketball with her first boyfriend and some other people after school one day. But she's never had any medical problems besides injuries. She had to get braces. Her teeth were quite wonky. She got her mom's teeth. She had to get braces. Eric, do you think of people thinking, what do you think of people thinking no one understands them coming from greater capacity for embarrassment? I think this is how they process what their ego doesn't allow them to knowledge. No, I would say that those people who think no one understands them probably have a lesser capacity for embarrassment, because that tends to correlate with FI, and embarrassment tends to correlate with FE. That'd be my guess. Oh, I said a certain percentage. Fair enough. That could be easily enough misheard as 30%. I feel you. I mean, I think doctors they have a fine enough job. My doctor, Dr. Chen, I went and saw him yesterday, and he's cool. I like him a lot. He's an ISTP, and did I tell you guys? This is pretty exciting news. I am the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life. I'm 194 pounds. I've never broke 190 before. I'm 6'4.5", 194 pounds. And you can see I got some belly here. See that belly? That's where I keep my fat. My blood pressure was 110/70. Which I guess is fine. I don't know. My body thinks I'm a runner. If my body thinks I'm a runner, it's not very smart. Yeah, well, I feel pretty happy about it. It's funny. It's like they're not used to, at the doctor's office, people going, "Yay! I'm the heaviest I've ever been." I'm like, "Oh, 194? I never been that heavy." And she's like, "Well, if you're happy with it." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. It's usually I can't put on weight. It's like back when I was drinking, the heaviest I ever got was like 186 of beer belly, And then when I started taking Adderall, I was consistently in the low 170s. And have been there ever since I started taking Adderall, which was like, 8 years ago or something. But not yesterday. Yesterday, I went into the doctor's office. Now, granted, I left my jacket on. That probably adds a couple of pounds. I should have taken it off, but I left my jacket on. So, call it 192. Still, I'm getting close to football weight. I'm nearly at wide receiver weight. I'd say 6'4", 210 pounds is about normal for a wide receiver. So if I could just put on another 15 pounds, I'll go play in the NFL. Thanks, Bobby son. Do citizens normally have an obligation to follow the law? Well, I would say it's more correct to say that people are typically subject to being held legally liable should they violate the law. You're as tall as Emmett Smith, just shy 50 pounds of muscle. You know what? Emmitt Smith is the most overrated running back in the history of football. And I'll tell you why. Because why did Emmitt Smith have so many rushing yards and everything? When he was playing for the Dallas Cowboys, they had an incredible offensive line. Anybody could have run behind that offensive line. You know? You could put any decent running back there and he would have had Emmitt Smith's numbers with that offensive line and that team in general. Winston's mom, you disappoint me. Why does Winston's mom disappoint you? Because she's asking if anyone's watching the second impeachment. How does that disappoint you? Doesn't even express any opinion on it. She could be watching it in outrage at the Democrats. Would that appoint you, Leaf Trimmer? I don't. Well, I mean, he's already not president. Why are you retroactively impeaching him? You know? How do you impeach a not president? Real men play rugby without all the sissy pads. Yeah, well, rugby's boring, though. I mean, to me, okay. But isn't the purpose of impeachment to remove him from office? You see what I'm saying? Isn't that what impeachment's supposed to be for? I hate to be the one to point this out, but he's no longer in office. Yeah, Trump was impeached. It was the same sort of situation as Clinton. You know, the House passes the impeachment, and then I guess the Senate ratifies it, and the Senate didn't ratify it, but or something like that. I don't remember the exact procedure, but like Clinton was impeached, and so was Trump, but they weren't. The process didn't complete to remove them from office. If you think about the word impeach, it really means something like besmirch your character. Impeach. I didn't say impeachment trial. I said impeach. So, number 2, call into question the integrity or validity of a practice or person. So, in other words, when regarding a practice, call into question the integrity or validity of a practice is to say, like, something, there is no basis to Searle's motion to impeach the verdict. But you might say that a person's history of lies impeach the notion that we ought afford his claims any legitimacy or something, you know? So to impeach a president is to say, we no longer have faith in your legitimacy. No, I get that part, Zayden Black, and I understand that it's certainly possible to argue that he deserves that, you know. But since it because it's no longer removing him from office, my position is we need to stop, turning into enemies our opponents. Trump was more guilty of that than anyone. But we don't get to be the good guys by out bad guying the bad guys, right? So, in other words, yes, Democrats, you're in power now. No, it's not a good idea to do whatever you can to punish Trump as hard as you can now that you're in power. Because, in general, presidents shouldn't be punished for what they do in office. It's like once they're done, and leave them alone. There used to be a lot of sort of unwritten rules that former presidents didn't criticize other former presidents and stuff like that. Marty Glenn steps into the role of exposing fake INFJs. I mean, it's a good job for that guy. Remember that guy? There was in Africa, there was some big speech or something, and they hired a sign language interpreter, and he didn't know sign language. And he just made it up as he went along, just made up some bullshit with his hands, Remember that? That guy should be in charge of busting fake sign language interpreters. That would be the equivalent of Marty busting fake INFJs. I gotta say, that guy really is my hero. The fake sign language guy. He is my hero. How did he get that job? Talk about cojones, right? It's like he had to go in there and apply for this job and tell everybody in there, oh, yes, I am excellent at sign language. I'm an expert at it. I can sign anything. It's like, got nothing to worry about. When you're speaking and I'm signing for you, all the deaf people will understand exactly what you're saying. He's got to go in there and just lie with us, just lie his ass off, I guess, and just there's not any moment apparently where prior to begin this, he thinks, well, what's going to happen when actual deaf people watch my signing? Like, did this not occur to the guy? He had mouths to feed? Okay. Hi, Octavio Silva. How's it going? Words about yourself affect how you think about yourself. Like telling yourself you'll never be anything is a power spoken word. Modern human didn't always have this power. It's funny you should say that. Yesterday, I believe it was, I indicated, I was playing, well, if you had to reduce your paradigm to one sentence or something, what would it be? One possibility I came up with for myself was repetition becomes reality. It's a very fourth slot SI way of thinking. but it also links into what you're saying. The power of narrative is, you know, when people said a long time ago the pen is mightier than the sword, it was meant to be like this revelatory statement that, hey, you know what? People can actually accomplish things with words too. Sometimes that can even be more powerful than fighting. Well, it's incredibly true in contemporary society that words are more powerful than physical force. It's not like it's not news, you know. Octavia Silva, it's cool. Your therapist called me and asked me to give you therapy today instead. So I want to see 20 push-ups, and I want you to do 10 recitations of the I will stop being a little bitch. It's the it's the Hail Mary, Mother of Jesus kind of thing they make you repeat in the Catholic Church. It's the Eric's therapy repetition. I will not be a little bitch. I will stop complaining about my problems. I don't need therapy. There's nothing wrong with me. Whining won't do any good. I'll give you a whole list of things to read out loud every morning. They're all anti-FI things. My feelings don't matter. These are things you need to learn. Octavia Silva. Things you need to learn about your feelings. Okay? The problem is you keep focusing too much on your feelings. Eric's cognitive bias therapy session. What I do, you come in here and I'm going to basically push all of my values and biases onto you and tell you that the reason you're not okay is that you're not enough like me. I'm not against therapy. I've done therapy before. Therapy works for some people. It really depends on the nature of the person you're dealing with. You know, it's like fix camera. Like the problem with therapy for an ENTP is therapy generally works by providing NI that's determinate in some fashion to people who don't have enough of it. Like, if somebody's experiencing a lot of pain or suffering, the therapist will tell them, have you thought about it like this? Have you thought about it like this? And that can be helpful to people. The problem with having a therapist for an ENTP is, yes, I have thought about it like that. And like that. And like that. And like that. Yep. I've considered all those possibilities. Before I came into this session, I'd already considered how you were going to respond to everything I was going to say, or might say, and how I was going to frame it back in terms of, it's like, it's very difficult to find a therapist that meaningfully can guide me, because if they're going to be using words to do so, I've already thought about those words. What do you mean when you say the eighth function is subsumed by the first thought function? I mean that the eighth slot serves the first. I like to ideate a lot. I like to talk a lot. and share my thoughts and stuff. So here I am live streaming again. The SE is the part where I push go live. When I'm being more SE, I'm also factoring in outcomes and stuff a little bit more. Maybe I do more of the setup shit I need to do before I actually start. So this morning, I got moved this thing over here, this light stand thing, and moved the mic over, and that was it. Normally I pull up this side of the couch because I don't like the way it looks like back there. Well, I didn't even bother with that because I only did really as much SE as I needed to enable me to start NEing and FEing out here with all y'all. So which makes it very difficult for an ENTP to follow through on long-term things, at least to execute a plan to follow through on long-term things, because SE is always subsumed by extroverted intuition. So whatever new idea seems more interesting, if it's up to me, I'll change horses in midstream and start this new idea. Leave the other thing I was doing behind. That's bad SE. That's not following through the conclusion of something. Please read where I at you, Eric. Okay, Octavia Silva. Why do we punish criminals? That's an interesting question. I don't see any at me. Oh, there. Do you think video games are a cheesy college essay topic? Normally I think so, but the major I'm going for literally can be used to make video games. No, I don't think it's a cheesy topic. I think it's a more interesting topic than most. I'd say an even more interesting topic is talking with famous people. You could definitely write a lot about the typology community in general and the dynamics and stuff. You know, it's like it's a rich field of mugities. Why do we punish criminals? Well, there are 3 reasons basically we punish criminals. 1, we punish them for a restoration of equilibrium. So an eye for an eye. If I have to go around one-eyed, then the person who poked my eye out should have to have their eye poked out too. That principle, right? Because it's just fair. So fairness is one reason we punish criminals. Another reason we punish criminals is deterrence, which is to say we think that we need to punish them because if we don't punish crime, it just encourages people to keep committing it. And the third reason we punish criminals is to rehabilitate them. So depending on the kind of punishment, it can attempt to decriminalize, the punishment can attempt to decriminalize the criminals. In other words, it really depends somewhat on the crime, of course, but it basically stems from a view that says criminals are people who've made a mistake, criminals are criminal, or crime is a problem, criminals are irrelevant. You know? As a general rule, I am of the school that says criminals are people who've made a mistake. But I'm also the school that says crime is a problem that needs to be addressed, not criminals per se. I'm not of the school that says we shouldn't punish people if we can guarantee their rehabilitation. So if somebody commits a crime against somebody else, and for whatever reason we can determinedly, I'm interested, Sean Ryan Barron, I find you to be a very good piano player. You've got skills to pay the bills, as they say in rap music. I'm not a very good piano player. And you know what has happened since last I talked to you about my piano, Sean Ryan Barron? It's gone out of tune. Remember last time I talked to you about my piano, I was like, it's still in pretty damn good tune. Well, I went to play it the other day. It's gone out of tune. And I was like, God, I'm so sad. I thought to myself, I bet I could tune it myself. But you know what? I'm not really that confident that I could. I never tried to tune a piano before. I've tuned a guitar. I've tuned a fish, but I've never tuned a piano. Bad idea? Okay. I'll take your word for it. I mean, all it is little square things that you turn a little bit to make it go up or down, right? Just like tuning pegs on a guitar. Except you have to have a square hole thing that turns. Oh, I suppose you think I need tuning forks, huh? I don't need any tuning forks, okay? I have the internet. It's my tuning fork. The internet is my tuning fork is a good it's a good bumper sticker. Touch My Tuning Fork is a good name for an album. An octave isn't actually real. Sean Ryan Barron, I'm tired of your fancy music talk. I don't need my piano tuning well tempered. Okay. I'm old school. I go with an untempered piano tuning, and that's why my music always sounds so much cooler than yours. Have you tried an untempered piano tuning? Have you tried it? Oh, well tempered is old school. Like this. Does this make me look like I want to have sex with you? Quit tempering my clavichord is one of the most frequent sentences in my vocabulary. You want your harpsichord to be well tempered? Why don't you get a clavichord? Quit fucking around, Sean Ryan Barron. You need a clavichord and a hurdy-gurdy. How many hurdy-gurdies do you currently own, Sean Ryan Barron? Do you own enough hurdy-gurdies? Can you ever have too many hurdy-gurdies? I would like to be part of a hurdy-gurdy orchestra that just plays nothing but hurdy-gurdies, but in different keys. Are hurdy-gurdies keyed like harmonicas? I feel better fine. I feel fine now. I don't feel unwell. I'm on antibiotics. Goodbye, Lauren. Remember, make your pasta al dente. Okay. What do you get when you mix a harpsichord with a clavichord and a xylophone? You get a harpsichord. A harpsichord. I want to play a harpsichord. Sean Ryan Barron, make one for me today. I'll be expecting delivery tomorrow. You know, it's like my poor dad. He played an instrument in his high school band. He played in the Army 118th band, and went around touring towns in France, playing concerts in the afternoon, and then they had a jazz band that played jazz shows at night. But guess what he played? The French horn. Now, talk about an instrument that there's not a lot of use for. Here's a trivia question. How many Beatles songs feature a French horn? Would you like to know the answer? One. Only one Beatles song features the French horn. You'd think more, right? You'd think Sgt. Pepper's must have shit tons of French horn in them. Nope. One Beatles song has French horn in it. Isn't that interesting? French horn is just not called for that frequently. I was asking my dad the other day, like, okay, you know, there are songs that are kind of like famous. Like if you're an oboe player, I'm sure you start off and you learn Peter and the Wolf theme because the oboe is so prominent there, right? If you're a flute player, you probably there's probably some classical song that features the flute, you know? Well, there really isn't much of anything that features the French horn. Is there, Sean Ryan Barron? Why is there a French horn anyway? Why do we have trumpets, we have trombones, we have tuba, and we have, what is the French horn? Is the French horn like between the tuba and the trumpet or what? Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony features the French horn? Are there non-French horns? Because when you think about an orchestra, I think of trumpet, I think of trombone, I think of tuba, but I don't think of any other horns besides French horns. And I think of them mostly as a marching band thing. French horn's bigger than your mom's face, or bigger than what? I know it's bigger than a trumpet and a trombone. It's like round, kind of. It's a very hard instrument, but beautiful, smooth, triumphant sound. Well, yeah, that was my dad's instrument. He played the French horn. It just seems like if you're gonna pick one, I guess the reason he took a French horn is they needed a French horn player in high school, so he took it up. They were short a French horn player, you know. But it just seems like not an instrument that gets called for a lot, you know. You've chosen to play a position like pinch hitter that you only play in every few games. I like the trombone though because you can go. It's fun, you know. First of all, whoever's standing in front of the trombone player is at serious risk of head injury. I like that. I like an instrument that causes head injuries. Well, leave it to ESTJ Dad to go. Oh, well, if you need a French horn player, I guess I should play the French horn. Triangle, I agree. Okay, triangle is the most pointless instrument of all to learn to play. Nobody plays just the triangle, though, I'm pretty sure. Although maybe in an orchestra, like an official symphony orchestra, there may be triangle players that just play the triangle. But I'm pretty sure if you play the triangle, you play other things too. I better get used to the sucking and spit. Why? What do you mean? I don't know. Oh, for the trombone? It is even a part of woodwind ensemble sometimes. Well, cowbell is part of a percussion set. See, it's like the timpani player probably would play the cowbell if he's going to play. If there's going to be a cow. I don't think they usually include cowbell in orchestras. I don't think like Mozart wrote Symphony for Cowbell, for example, or his fifth cowbell symphony, mostly featuring the cowbell. I'm pretty sure that wasn't a symphonic instrument, is what I'm getting at. But because like when I was in school, in elementary school, we had film strips that taught you all the different instruments in a symphony. Like during music class in elementary school, we'd have one of those film strips that plays a record, and then it dings when you're supposed to push the thing. And it would say, "This is the oboe. This is the timpani." They probably don't do that in elementary school anymore, I'm guessing. Society is not so fixated on European classical music anymore. It used to be, I guess. Who knows when those film strips we watched were made, too. They were probably made at least 10 to 15 years before I watched them. A production of the Houghton Mifflin Corporation. Houghton Mifflin. Making learning fun. Ding! Have you ever wondered what the different orchestra instruments are? An orchestra is made up of many different instruments. There are several classes of instruments. Some instruments are called stringed instruments. These instruments make noise when a string is vibrated, either by being plucked, pluck. No, I know it's a real song, Day in Black. But I never was able to get a copy of that video that I'm looking for. I think I found the video that it's in. I'm quite confident that must be the educational film strip we watched. It's specifically about the risks of cold water. And I mean, it's gotta be in that movie. It has to be. Cold water, it's a watery grave. Yeah, I'll pause. I'll just talk about unimportant things while you're gone, okay? I mean, I don't know. I didn't think about contacting Arcadia High School about it. That's an interesting notion. It seems like the sort of thing a school would get rid of circa 1990 something. You know, like, okay, do we really need this 70s era cold water movie? Now, keep in mind, that was almost certainly a movie. But back when I was in high school, when they showed a movie, they had reels of film. And they had a film projector, and it played the movie. You know, it wasn't like a VHS or something. Oh yeah, okay. Bobby Sun's gone. Everybody, don't you hate the way Bobby Sun is always Bobby Sunning? God, that guy's so gross. You know what the dentist wrote on my form that I had the doctor fill out? Gross dental decay. I'm like, hey, I know it's gross. Do you really need to write that down on a sheet? This is my stomach. You're looking at right now. It's big. It's yellow. It's a lot like the sun in that regard. Does my stomach remind you of the sun? B.B. King made a terribly sexist joke once about women floating in their juices. Watch his live with Derek and Tedeschi Trucks, with a compliment to Derek's insane slide solo. Good stuff. But this is my stomach. We're having stomach exploration time, Bobby Sun. Look, you can see the thread count in my shirt. That's how high resolution it is. Count the threads. We are men of action. Lies do not become us. Have I smoked any weed this morning? I guess I smoked a bowl or two. So, okay, cool. I will. I'll get right back to it now. Actually, we were talking shit about you the whole time, Bobby Son. But I'm like, chill. He's coming back. Shh. Okay, everybody. And bully. Let's bully him. Meow, 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 meow. We are bullying you. Is ENXJ the most charismatic? I don't think so. I think that probably your IXFJs are the most, people are most drawn to them. They don't necessarily want that much engagement with others, but as far as like motivating a team or something, maybe ENFJ would be best. Is it the case that fifth slot TE gets satisfaction with the metaphysical aspect of TE? I don't believe really in aspects anymore, Rain. I see there as being obviously a form of TE that expresses in language, like for example, when I make lesson plans is TE, but that's just rendering ordinalities, rendering fluid dynamic reality of time and process execution into a set of ordinalities. An interface function operates on 3 fields. So the extrovert thinking interface function operates on both external fields and the physical internal field. So, in other words, basically, NI isn't useful in solving most TE problems. Now, obviously, you got your INTJs, your ENTJs, and they make it work. But what I mean by that is the thing about physically dynamic systems is that they're particularist. So I can't generally draw any universal conclusions about doorknobs, or no universals about doorknobs to understand how to fix my broken doorknob. Instead, I need to look at it, see how the mechanism of the doorknob works, and see what part of it is broken, etc., etc. So the NI frame of reference then is one that's going to dictate the breadth of the problem being solved rather than really knowing about the problem specifically, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough question. I'm trying to figure out the way of simulating it such that you've got it's actually simulatable, which means extroverted intuition is going to be putting information on two fields: internal metaphysical, external metaphysical. And anything that puts information there is extroverted intuition, and all extroverted intuition is putting information there. So as far as the interface functions, the trickiest ones to figure out. It would seem to me that they each, unlike the other functions, the interface functions each cover 3 fields. And the fourth one being covered by the knowledge function. So in that regard, I guess INTJs and ENTJs make some more sense because they have the missing field as their knowledge function from TE, and it makes it complete, whereas ENFJs and INFJs double up. But the thing is, one of the things that's very challenging for me to understand about cognitive functions is the way in which the action and deliberation functions can operate separately from each other. They don't have to conjoin to do their job. Whereas that's not the case for interface and knowledge functions. It seems like it's not possible to interface without using knowledge. It is possible to ideate without using parsing. And it's possible to parse without using ideating. No, we don't want any uprisings, Leaf Drummer. Don't be ridiculous. Stop calling for insurrection. It's anti-American. Don't be a traitor. No, I mean, it's symmetrical enough. I just don't quite understand how to deal with the interface functions in the fields. So let's say FENI. FENI, you've got NI is receiving information. Either on the internal metaphysical field or the external. That is to say, you can know immediately that a given character is a bad guy based on some kind of universal cue they give you in the show without really being able to explain why you know it yet, right? That's NI happening on the external metaphysical field. I mean, obviously it happens inside of you, but it's attention directed towards an object on the external metaphysical field, and then the intention is to know what it means. Additionally, NI can happen on the internal metaphysical field, where without having a thing that you know about right in front of you, the pieces finally come together and you have an aha moment just because you're driving around thinking about it. And those are the only two places NI can receive information. So that makes fine sense. And you're talking about a very easily simulatable system. And it's consistent with our observations and everything. The challenging ones are the interface functions, because it would seem as though TE, for example, can both glean information from what you know from previous experience, can glean information from your physical experience right now. For example, that's too tall for me to comfortably work on without a ladder, so I'll go get a ladder, is SI knowledge that links to TE. It would seem that you can interface with the external physical system, so external physical world for sure. But it would also seem as though you can interface with the external metaphysical field as well, because they're making lesson plans. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that, because it seems to run afoul of my notion that to simulate these, we have to define them as MIA information directionality on MIA field. Now, if in fact the interface functions overlap, then you can no longer define them as MIA information directionality on MIA field, because they're both interfacing. And so but I'm not, I'm just not quite sure what to do with that yet, and I'm still musing about it. The other factor is this: there's agent, subject, object perspectives. So interface functions are fundamentally subject perspective functions. In other words, they're things you do as a subject. Things you do as a subject are things that you expect to be public or have impact on the world or so forth. Action functions are also of the same kind. They're basically subject functions. Whereas receive functions are basically agent functions, and get functions are basically object functions. So in that sense, what I mean is, FI tells you how it feels to be the object in a situation. In other words, if you get your feelings hurt, someone else is the subject and they've hurt your feelings. You're the object of their action. If you're being told some bullshit, you're you're being subjected to claims, and your TI is how you deal with it as an object. So how that say agent object subject thing plays in with interface functions, it may be something like on certain fields the interface function only operates as the paired knowledge function. On certain fields it only operates, it's like an interface function may actually be like almost a combination of action and deliberation, and then the receipt aspect of things happens with the knowledge function that it's paired with. It's figure outable, but not yet figured out. We're definitely not born. Well, put it this way: if we're born a blank slate, it's a very distinct kind of blank slate, right? So, some people are born blank slates that are whiteboards that only take whiteboard markers. Some people are born blank slates that are clay, and you have to push in and make indentations to make the marks on them. Some people are born blank slates that require chiseling, Will you ever quit smoking? I notice so many ENTPs do, yet your type seem to enjoy value life. Well, I do enjoy value life a great deal. I mean, the thing is, I think the risks of smoking are pretty generally overstated. Vegan Dancer, we both agree, you and I, that smoking causes lung cancer. What percentage of smokers do you think get lung cancer? Based just on all the public service ads and stuff you've seen, you think all smokers get lung cancer? I mean, that goes to show you just how effective framing of information can be, right? 60%. Wow. So it turns out that in the general population of non-smokers, we have about 1 in 10,000 get lung cancer. And that smokers get lung cancer at a substantially higher rate. You know that almost 1 in 320 smokers get lung cancer. So, I mean, it's a substantially higher rate of lung cancer than in non-smoking populations, but much lower than you'd think based on the public service announcements and shit, right? Actually, I did not that long ago. Well, I mean, I guess it was maybe 6 years ago now. What I learned is that I have incredibly good lung capacity and remarkably healthy lungs for a non-smoker. But most importantly, Vegan Dancer, let's go back a step. You had guessed 60% of smokers get lung cancer. In reality, it's 0.33%. Okay, so here's another interesting fact. How many of you think that throat cancer is linked to smoking? How many of you think that cigarettes are linked to throat cancer? It used to say that on the pack. It used to say it causes throat cancer, mouth cancer. It doesn't say that anymore. Why not? Because what actually causes throat cancer, it turns out. And it's an excellent instance of how we need to not jump to conclusions, right? So it turned out that when they did a bunch of corollaries, that things that had a reasonably strong correlation to throat cancer included alcohol and cigarettes. But it turned out that Vegan Dancer is right. It was actually eating pussy that gave you throat cancer or second dick. It was HPV that caused throat cancer. And it was, in fact, that cigarette smoking and drinking correlated with having more random sex. Not that they caused it itself. So it's like lesson learned, right? Hopefully we learn a lesson there. That just because intuitively something seems unhealthy, or even just because we can establish a correlation between a given behavior and poor health or bad health, or whatever. I'm not trying to negate cigarettes. You are. Look, my point is, I'm not saying cigarettes are healthy. Okay? I believe cigarettes are unhealthy. And I might someday quit them. But people need to understand that other people don't smoke in a vacuum, right? So it's not like I was going along just as I am now without smoking, and then I decided to start smoking. When I started smoking, originally I was 17 years old. I smoked until I was 21. Then I quit smoking for 10 years. I started smoking again at 31 after my first divorce. It was a very stressful time, you know. Should I have started smoking then? I don't know, maybe not, but I did. Since then, I went through a period of being a meth addict, and I was an alcoholic for years. After I was a meth addict, after I quit meth, I became an alcoholic, and I was an alcoholic for a long stretch of time. When I quit drinking, there are a couple of things I retained. I retained smoking cigarettes, and I retained smoking weed. And the reason is because, for me, this is good health. The alternative is how I used to be, where I was addicted to things that were not sustainable for me. Now, in non-alcoholic beverages, this is the deal I made with myself, you know? So I'm not totally opposed to the idea of quitting smoking cigarettes, but you need to understand my habits as they juxtapose against how I used to be, not against nothing, right? I'm such a long history of having problems with substance abuse. For me, cigarettes are a blessedly non-intoxicating kind of intoxicant. Boba Fett, is that when the teeth went bad? You know, my teeth have always been bad. I don't doubt that being a meth addict for like 4 years in the early 2000s I don't doubt that had a lot to do with it as well. But my teeth were bad before that. They were bad from early on. My teeth have always been brittle. I've gotten cavities really easily. They chip easily. I've always had bad teeth. I mean, I don't think it's that amazing. I think that I think it's much, much worse to be a Coke addict. I think Coke changes your personality in a way that meth doesn't. What type did you do meth with? INFJ friend? You want to quit what, Gen Xio? Smoking cigarettes? And an INFP who didn't handle it at all. Let me tell you, the INFP had a terrible time with it. That's depressing. Boba Fett. The thing is, of all of the people I've ever seen do math, the only one who could ever really handle it was me. And I'm not saying I could really handle it. Eventually it got the better of me too. But everybody else went crazy on the shit, you know. I never went crazy on it. I never started believing weird things, like people were looking at me. I never thought there were bugs crawling under my skin. I never, I didn't. After maybe there was an initial bit of time at the beginning of it that I did a little bit of this, but I didn't spend 8 hours masturbating. It's like it did get the better of me, but much less so than everybody else I knew that did the stuff. And I saw multiple people just lose themselves to it completely. INFJs pulled through. The INFJ pulled through, and he pulled his INFP wife through in the process as well. But yeah, in the 11th hour, of course. I quit before he did. I just quit because it started getting difficult for me to get it. And I was tired. I was exhausted after 4 years of that. I was absolutely exhausted. And when I did quit, I had a solid month at least of like sleeping 18 hours a day. The amount of sleep I got in the months immediately following that was insane. It was like a time of my life when it was at the end of receiving unemployment benefits from having been laid off from a job. And I just knew, exactly. It's like I knew I was going to have to get back into regular life. And yeah, that's really depressing. Why are we sharing this story about this really depressing thing about this lady? I don't like depressing things. Hi, Rachel, darling, Marlene, Parlene, Smarlene. Are you my Carlene, Marlene, darling, Parlene? I believe you are, last I checked. You're the French horn in my marching band. You're the yo-yo ma of my cellists. cautionary tale. Well, so yeah. I mean, the thing is, vegan dancer, does all of that knowledge change your perspective somewhat on my my smoking cigarettes? It's like, I do actually get that at some point I'm going to have to quit smoking cigarettes, because I don't really believe that weed damages your lungs that much. In fact, I tend to think it protects my lungs somewhat from the cigarette smoke. I do believe that cigarettes are poisonous and bad for my lungs, and like affect my wind. You know, I get winded very quickly. But you know, I could see myself, if I got busy enough, smoking as few as maybe 5 cigarettes a day. And being fine with that, and like, you know, I don't necessarily love how much I smoke. On any given occasion when I'm smoking a cigarette, I may or may not actually enjoy it, or I may find it like so it's not as cut and dry as, say, weed, which, if you were asking me, am I ever going to quit smoking weed, the answer is no. I'm not going to quit smoking weed. There's absolutely no reason in the world that I can think of to quit smoking weed. I mean, the thing is, going into the cold to smoke can be very unpleasant. Like, God, it's cold outside. But what's actually worse, in my opinion, is when it's hot outside. When it's hot outside, smoking's not as satisfying as when it's cold outside. I mean, but vegan dancer, were you surprised to hear that 1 out of 320 approximately smokers get lung cancer? Isn't that surprising? Does it make you a little bit angry at the disinformation campaign? Because the thing is, it's not like they're lying, right? You'll never hear in any of these public service announcements lies about cigarette smoking, at least firsthand smoke. Okay, you will hear lies about secondhand smoke. They're just bullshit. But firsthand smoking, they don't lie. They just frame the data such as to be extremely misleading. Well, what about the danger of disinformation? Aren't you more concerned about that? That's much more meaningful than danger to people, because the danger of disinformation campaigns is that they destroy civilization itself. You know, it's like, once truth becomes devalued in favor of your pet project, that's how nasty shit happens in the world. Secondhand smoke is definitely BS. Like, there's no way the secondhand smoke causes whatever they say it causes. I smoked on a plane before, back when I was a teenager, 18, 19. Secondhand smoke is like the spring melt. Cold, clean water of a spring melt. Okay? Speak for yourself, Fommel Hot. I'm not resigned to that yet. Don't be a quitter. don't give up on staying alive forever. Vegan dancer, do you want to get into Valhalla or not? Because if you want to get into Valhalla, you're going to have to die on the battlefield. And with your current sort of pacifist anti-smoking attitude, I'm thinking you're never going to get into Valhalla. You're going to have to go to regular heaven or, the Elysian fields. Is that where dogs go when they die? Where do dogs go when they die? What is dog heaven? Do they have a dog heaven? Is it different than regular heaven, or do people get their dogs back in heaven? What if you had a bunch of dogs in your life? Do you have to have them all when you're in heaven? Or can you pick the dog you want? I think you get to pick whichever dog you want from your life in heaven. I'm obviously picking Lacey. And you get to pick a cat too. That's going to be a tough one. I better get 2 cats because I want to get a kitty meow meow as well as Capio. How many pets do you want in heaven? Is an interesting question. Now, if you have pets in heaven, you have to keep them for all eternity because they're eternal life as well. Or can you change pets periodically? Cats don't go to heaven? Why not? Why don't cats go to heaven? What did they ever do? Besides meow adorably. No changing? Vegan dancer, I've got some pretty powerful advice for you right now. Whatever you do, don't go chasing waterfalls. It's pretty good advice. Don't go chasing waterfalls. If you do, cats are not disgusting and demonic. Cats are wonderful, lovey, lovey loves. My kitty is such a lovey love. She's chock full of love and love and love and love. Okay, sounds good, Rachel. That's the plan. We've planned on it. Then you'll bring Pee-Pee and I'll get Kitty Meow and Lacey. Lacey will have to get to know Pee-Pee because she wasn't around, I don't think, when Pee-Pee was born. But she knows Kitty Meow already. Freya has 2 cats in Valhalla. Okay. Also, Vegan Dancer, I got one more piece of really good advice for you. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Well said, Eric. Well said. Well said. It is a good song. It's a Journey classic. I'm just a small town boy in a lonely world. And something, something, something. Just a small town boy in a lonely world. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. You know, there was an Atari game for the Journey band, and I played it with my friend Charlie Tharp at his house. I think I remember us not thinking it was a very good game. But you know, Journey, so you got no choice but to get it. Front man of Journey is your uncle? Wow. You mean the singer? The guy with the super high voice? That guy's got a super high voice, right? Which makes me think of the Pavement song in which he says, I wonder if Geddy Lee talks like an ordinary guy. And then the other person says, I met him, and he does. And then the first person says, that makes you my fact-checking cuz. You know that part of that song? What's the a shady lane, everybody wants some. A shady lane, everybody needs one. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, it's God, oh, your God, oh, their God, oh, our God. It's everybody's God, it's everybody's God, it's everybody's God, it's everybody's God. The worlds collide, and all that we want is a shady lane. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Something in the chances we rubbed into and dry lancers, and the check when it arrived, we went touch, touch, touch. Wore a redder shade of neck on a whiter shade of trash, and this emery board is giving me a rash. I'm strung out. It's a good song. It's probably Pavement's best song, although I like Stereo a lot as well. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Is that your milkshake? They say, and I say, yes, it is. You've come to this yard, I suppose, to view it. And they say, yes, we have. And I say, well, here it is, my milkshake. And they go, anticlimactic, frankly. And I go, I know, right? He knows how long the stream has been going. Like, it's an hour and 49 minutes. Oh, does it not show you how long it's been going? I assumed everybody could see that. What do you know? I didn't know that. I didn't know you couldn't see that. Interesting. You know, I'm really quite impressed with that old-fashioned song that somebody liked the other day called "My Girl's Pussy" by Roy whatever's orchestra. My girl's pussy. It's really ridiculous. It had to be obviously like I mean, did people really not get it back then or something? I'd have to figure out the chords and stuff probably, but it's so it's like it's almost impossible to imagine that it was written not meaning what it means. So it's like it's almost ridiculous to cover it because people think you made it up or something, and you go, "No, this is a real song from like 1931." You go, no, it's not. Yeah, it really is. Because if it's not obviously means what it means, then why in the world to talk about getting it wet every night? Like, who washes their cat every night? You know? Scoffers. The Scoffer family. The Scoffer family, they do nothing but scoff at things all day long. Yeah, right, is their favorite expression. Of all of the souls I've encountered in my travels, his was the most human. Spock says Kirk. The funny thing is Captain Kirk's soul really the most human soul? I mean, what's so human about talking like this? Have you guys all seen William Shatner's movie in which he speaks in Esperanto? Even in Esperanto, he talks like this, my small friends, my little friends. National Brotherhood Week, National Brotherhood Week. And then yeah, I watched it. I watched what? Captain going down the ship is a good idea. Well, oh yes, I've seen that. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched some of it and was just like, this is weird. This is boring. You know, but it was strange for sure. William Shatner is quite a character. You know, there was a time when in his life when he was just doing his William Shatner thing and taking it dead seriously, and people were buying it. And then at some point, he kind of realized how ridiculous he was, and he kind of owned it and meted up on it, and just kind of killed everything in the process. You know, it's like if I were William Shatner, I'd feel pretty good about myself. Leonard Nimoy was a weird guy. He had this thing where he took pictures of obese women to sort of fight against body image stuff, which is a noble enough fight. I agree, but that was take pictures of naked obese women. You got to kind of wonder if maybe he had a thing, right? You know. He's got to be like 90 years old now, at least. And as of a couple of years ago, he's still going strong doing stuff. Do you know, I'll tell you something interesting you may not be aware of. There is a gondola in Palm Springs that takes you up to the top of this mountain in Palm Springs. And guess who does the narration in the gondola ride about the history of the thing as you're going up? That's right, William Shatner. William Shatner is the guy who talks about the history of Palm Springs and stuff as you go up the gondola ride, and it plays in the speaker. I know Nimoy's dead. I killed him myself. He died 5 years ago of death by Eric. I'm glad William Shatner's still in good shape. There's somebody I would love to go have lunch with, you know? I would love to have lunch with William Shatner. We could have chicken salad sandwiches and coffee. We could pull bottom rips. I could praise him for the longevity and interestingness of his career and life, and say, William Shatner, I gotta tell you, really nice to meet you. I've always kind of been fascinated by you. I love the episode of Animaniacs where I don't know if it's William Shatner doing William Shatner or somebody else doing William Shatner, but he's trying to make all the Animaniac children sit and listen to his spoken word art, and he keeps calling them, sit down, my small friends, my little friends. You know that episode of Animaniacs? That episode of Animaniacs cracked me up. Well, since then, I periodically will say, my little friends, my small friends. Gene Roddenberry. Roddenberry sounds like such a fake name. What's your name? It's Eugene Roddenberry. Really? Your name's Eugene Roddenberry. Yeah, and I live at 123 Main Street. Eugene Roddenberry at 123 Main Street, huh? Well, what do you know? He's telling the truth. His name really was Eugene Roddenberry. It was at 123 Main Street. Fascinating. That's the story of when Gene Roddenberry got interrogated by the cops as a kid. He was being interrogated by the cops at least until Carl Jung showed up, picked up Gene Roddenberry by the ankles, swung him around, and knocked the cops over, and they both got away. I used to not believe Jung until Gene Roddenberry verified it. He was there as well. Hi, Lijo. We're talking about Gene Roddenberry right now and Carl Jung. Who would win in a fight? I say Jung because he's got a pipe. You can use it to jab at Gene Roddenberry's eyes. Leaf Trimmer insists it's Gene Roddenberry because he's a science fiction guy, and that means he has ray guns. I try to explain to Leaf Trimmer, no, it doesn't mean he has ray guns. But you know how Leaf Trimmer is. Anytime he talks about ray guns, he goes off the rails. You would never side with Gene? Okay, that's a relief. You can't, Jim. It'll kill you, says Dr. McCoy. If I stopped and worried about whether I would die before I went onto every planet, Doctor, we would never get anything accomplished. The captain does speak quite logically, Doctor. That's my end scene. Acting. That was my interpretation of a conversation between Dr. McCoy, Mr. Spock, and Captain Kirk. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's funny to end things with and scene. It makes me laugh. By the way, Rachel, I went to the weed store last night, so we have weed. If you were wondering. gosh, what am I going to do when I go outside? There's not going to be any weed. Don't you worry your pretty little head about that, darling, Schmarling, Parling, Marling. We have a little something. I think you're going to like it. It's called cereal milk. Funny name. Funny name for a marijuana. Cereal milk. Can't really see the girl's writing there, but cereal milk it's called. Now let's take a look at it. It's a little fluffy. It smells delicious. And it smokes quite nicely. I mean, who doesn't drink the milk at the bottom of the cereal? Talk about wanting the darkness to consume me. If the darkness is cereal milk, oh yeah, I'm selling my soul to that cereal milk. But here's another piece of good news, Rachel. Don't think the good news time is over. The good news time is about to continue. After I pull this ball, I'll tell you the other piece of good news. That's cereal, Light Joe. Well, then you've taken too long to eat your cereal. If the milk at the bottom of your cereal is warm, you've eaten your cereal too slowly. You have excessive slowness cereal eating syndrome. If I had to pick a cereal that weed is the milk residue of, I would say grape nuts. Okay, now let's talk about the other big surprise I have for you, Rachel. So now Rachel and I at this weed store have gotten Jack or Super Jack or whatever. There's a variety of sativa known as Jack Herrera that is very unique. It's got a very distinct taste to it. And last night they had, so 2 times ago that we got the Jack, it was real Jack. And it was like straight up like, wow, this is it. This is that crazy distinct flavor, distinct high Jack Herrera, real good high quality Jack Herrera. Well, last night they had on the 3rd shelf, they had the stuff Captain Jack. And it's on the same shelf as cherry pie. So I decided to try it out, and guess what? It's, it's not as Jacky as that first Jack we got, but it's much more Jacky than the last Jack we got. And it definitely tastes like Jack. So here we go. Let's try a bowl of the Captain Jack. It's a nice smoker. Nice smoker. If the bong gets really old, will it catch on fire? Well, what breaks is this part. This part breaks. That's why I order them in bulk off of Amazon. And this thing breaks especially fast if you use a torch. I can't help it. leaf trimmer. Well, I smoke way too much weed to have some half-assed device to smoke out of. This big bong is fine. It's not. I actually prefer Rachel's bong. Next time I get a new bong, I'm gonna get one the size of Rachel's bong. Rachel's bong, I will show you just for comparison, is this size. She's got some stickers on her bone, as you see. Whereas mine is this size. So this hits a little better. The thing about buying an expensive bong is I don't know, it's like the big bong I have here has been knocked over plenty of times and hasn't really broken. But it's just the reality is when you're getting glass bongs, you're going to get some breakage. And so if you want to invest a ton of money into a bong, who knows how long it's going to be until you break it. They're kind of like sunglasses, you know. I've bought a few pairs of expensive sunglasses in my day, and it seems like the more expensive the sunglass, the faster I lose them.
Yes. I have that problem too. Or I break them, like I step on them.
Yeah. What if I filled the bong with apple juice? I mean, I think the bong water would get really gross really fast. Not that it doesn't anyway, but it would probably start to taste rancid after a bit. Filled with vodka. THC is actually alcohol soluble, so that would not be a good idea because it would extract some of the THC from the smoke.
Oh.
To fill it with vodka. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't typically have vodka on hand.
What about coffee?
Maybe. I mean, I like to just fill it with water.
Yeah.
Personally. But, I mean, somebody like Cameron changes his water every time he smokes. Somebody like Rachel changes her water once every couple of days, every few days, maybe. I change my water, who knows when I change my water. I mean, it's like when I change my water last, I put a little bit too much water in. And I keep getting kisses from the bong, right? And my thought of it is, well, it'll evaporate down eventually to the level I wanted at. When it gets too low, when it evaporates down too low, then I tend to change the water, I guess. When it's like, I think the water level is getting kind of low. Of course, by that time, it is just absolutely disgusting. But,
You're a survivor.
I've never been a bong water changer. It just gets dirty again. I smoke a lot of weed.
It's like kind of miraculous. It like returns exactly how it was, like right after your first hit. Mine gets a little foggy.
Bongs get cloggy like memory gets foggy. It's inevitable. Yeah. That was the crappy weed that was in there from before.
Thank you.
Mm. Would you rather take a bath in a tub full of ketchup or a bathtub filled with tiny marbles? Tiny marbles, of course. For sure. That sounds kind of fun. I mean, ketchup. I mean, if it were three-way ketchup, maybe. Because, the important thing about ketchup is it's kind of been deprecated now since the arrival of three-way ketchup, which can be used three ways. Five-way ketchup is just a gimmick, basically. Five-way ketchup is a gimmick, okay? Two of the 5 waves of five-way ketchup are fake blood.
Oh, that's risky.
Use this fake blood and, well, I mean, you could use three-way ketchup like that too, but it's not really a ketchup use.
What is three-way ketchup?
Three-way ketchup is like regular ketchup. You can use it in 3 ways. Hambones told us what they were. Saucing, dipping, and ketchuping. Or something like that. The third way is naughty. The thing about ketchup is it's so much more popular than catsup. You rarely see. See, here's the thing. Catsup is to catch up as buttermilk is to regular milk. What does that tell us? It's much less common. When's the last time you've been to a restaurant and when they say, "Would you like some? What would you like to drink?" You say, "Can I get a glass of buttermilk?" Try that next time you go to a restaurant, any restaurant.
I like that idea.
In fact, next time you go through McDonald's and they say, anything to drink, say, "Do you have buttermilk?" And they'll say, "Let me check." Let me check. We have regular milk. Oh, yeah, actually we do have buttermilk. Really?
Probably do.
I'm surprised.
The pancakes.
Catsup is the Grey Poupon of ketchup. It's just a joke. What? Why are you saying Grey Poupon's just a joke? What's wrong with Dijon mustard? Are you a Dijon hater?
My lungs are still waking up.
Mm-hmm. Do you know that if you tap on the logo on the Heinz ketchup label, it's designed to make the ketchup pour easier? That commercial from the 90s is not a joke. That's how it really is in England with rich people. They really do drive around in their Rolls Royces asking each other for mustard. It's an old English tradition. It's called Mustard Sunday. All the lords and ladies drive around. They used to do it on horseback a long time ago. And, "Pardon me, have you any mustard?" Now, granted, it's not always Grey Poupon. Grey Poupon co-opted that tradition and made it about them because that's their product, sure. But Sunday Mustard Day is a real English tradition. It's between Boxing Day and Dress Up as the Queen Day. Watch out, Bonk Spiller. Winston's mom knows. She says, I've been to England. It takes forever at traffic lights because everyone is asking each other for Grey Poupon. Right. Right. Sunday Bloody Sunday refers to the day, the mustard Sunday, where that one year when there was a big mustard shortage and everyone went crazy. There were massacres everywhere from the lack of mustard. Since that day, all of England is sworn, never again. If you say never again in England, everybody knows you're referring to mustard. Never again will we allow ourselves to be bereft of mustard. We don't want a repeat of U2's Bloody Sunday song. It was terrible. The first ode to that day was terrible by U2. We don't want another opportunity for a terrible Irish band to make a terrible song. And the mustard went away, even though it was mustard day. Sunday, bloody Sunday. There's no mustard and so we kill. Bring me mustard right away. Without mustard, today's a killing day. Mustard Sunday mustard. Right. Well, half the lyrics he says bloody, half the lyrics he says mustard, to try to get it clear to the audience that the reason all this bloodshed occurred was because of the lack of mustard. There's a clear, distinct, direct causal link. Legends fall. I'm going to give you the high five of correctness. You, sir, are correct. The adjective terrible is very well applied to the band U2.
What is?
U2 is legit terrible, says Legends Fall. I say, high five, sir. You are correct. And why are they so terrible? Well, U2 is like the Seinfeld of rock bands. It seemed good for a little while until you realize that it wasn't funny. Same thing with U2. They seem good for a little while, maybe, and then you realize, but they're so shitty. But it's super popular anyway. You know.
Like, imagine a conversation with the lead singer, Bono. How gaff that would be. You know it is. I feel like he can't help himself but try to be political.
I mean, I picture myself being taken away in handcuffs, saying to myself, I can't believe I just slapped that guy. I've never done that before. What happened? You know?
Yeah. That's probably the truth.
Everyone's heard of him, but nobody really cares to listen. Gen Xio makes the same link as Lijo. I'm sure and I know they were, hey, you guys both get credit for it. I know you were writing them at the same time and just pushed enter at different times. It's an interesting link to make. Bono is like C.S. Joseph. Everyone's heard of him, but nobody cares to listen.
Oh.
And then Gen Xio says, kind of like B.S. Broseph, popular but shitty.
Wow.
Well,
that goes into the annals of history.
Now I got that song in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bono. There's such a Bono. I think Bono and Russell Brand should get married.
That would be good. They're both like kind of similar.
The Edge goes to a re-education camp. Oh, apparently Marty is unmasking fake INFJs in a video, from what I hear.
Did he unmask me?
I don't know. That's a good question. It wouldn't shock me if he did that.
We see if Joseph did, so.
Oh, see if Joseph typed you?
Yeah, he typed, remember? We found out he typed me as an ESFJ.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Marty is the guy that I typed police to, who responded with like vague threats and other ESFP-ery. I don't know what to say about that dude. It's just like whatever he's got going on. It seems like, I guess he's got some sort of maybe trauma or something. But whatever. I think it's interesting. I tend to find that like community drama makes me perk up a little bit. Yeah, but see, then that kind of shit always depresses me. Someone points out, it's like there's something funny or weird on YouTube going on, and then somebody points out, yeah, but that's a human being who has damage. I go, God damn it! Why do you have to remind me of FI?
I've heard that the out emojis are the ones where people like are laughing and the tears are coming out. I'm like, how is that like the out thing?
I mean, oh, you shouldn't do that, or
yeah, like it's not cool if you do.
Laughing, crying face.
Yeah.
Pissed Offerson says, I'm tired of people using trauma to make things not funny. I agree. Stop making your bad behavior not mockable by being human and having past trauma to justify it. It's like, God. But I want to mock you. No, I can't. Oh, wow.
Like, everyone's so serious.
Yeah, I know.
Your face is so expressive.
Mocking animals. I could mock animals. Stupid chickens. You know, they just like hang around, even though we're just going to kill them and eat them. How stupid do they have to be? Stupid chickens. That'd be a funny YouTube channel. You talk about how certain animals are stupid and how dumb they are, and they're not even. Look at those ugly things. They're ugly, dumbass possums. You get run over by cars all the time. Stupid possums. God. Talking shit about animals. You know, and then you just have like 30 seconds of talking shit about animals like that. And you just do each species.
I like that.
Fucking blue jays. They're blue, think they're all hot shit. They're squawking, and they're blue jayishness, and they're flying around. And it's like they land on the wire and they look at you and it's just like, I'm a blue jay. Fuck you, blue jays. That's it.
What about banana slugs?
Banana slugs. It's like you pick one up and you get your slime all over your hand. You can't even ever get it off. It's like, what are you, like freaking perma slime or something? How gross are you? How do you feel being such a gross little creature? Freaking banana slugs. Fuck off. Episode 3. The panda bear. Oh, you think you're cute, huh? Fucking lazy ass bitch.
Yeah.
Sit there and eat bamboo all day. Come on. Stop thinking you're so adorable and cuddly and Chinesey and stuff. It's like, you're not that special. I'd eat you. Pandas. Please. Episode 5. Ladybugs. You know what I hate about ladybugs? Their house is always on fire. It's like, why did they build their house out of such flammable material? You know, they need to fly away home because their house is on fire and their children are alone. They're irresponsible parents who leave their children alone in flammable homes. That's what I don't like about ladybugs. I don't know. Well, it's interesting to see the Tiny Man 66 says jays are usually bullies. It's interesting to see the interactions between the various birds around here. There are peacocks, obviously. The peacocks have conflicts with the coyotes. My dad saw one recently, and I saw one recently. I think Rachel was sleeping when I saw it. But the peacocks tend to win those exchanges. In other words, if one peacock sees a coyote, it'll kind of like call over some other peacocks, and they'll all kind of like walk at the coyote, and then the coyote will go back, and then they'll walk the other way, and the coyote will come towards them, and they'll turn around and go, again. And it's kind of, but the coyote is more scared of the peacocks than the peacocks are of the coyote, but the peacocks view the coyote as a predator, obviously. So it's an interesting kind of standoff. The crows and the peacocks have intermittently an agreeable relationship or a disagreeable one, but I don't see the crows ever really dive bombing the peacocks.
No.
Whereas you will see battles in the sky between, like, I guess, crows and hawks sometimes. You'll also see the mockingbirds and the crows fighting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mockingbirds and crows.
They're really tough. They don't mind starting fights. Very territorial. Your dad was saying how he doesn't like them. He likes to shoot them because the mockingbirds keep the other birds away.
Well, they're also pretty loud. My dad had always, in fact, shot the mockingbirds with a pellet gun. He doesn't shoot with a real gun. He shoots with a pellet gun.
Yes, that's what I mean.
But he also shoots at the squirrel when it tries to eat his peaches. You know, that's ESTJ way, right?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck that. That's my peaches. I'll shoot that squirrel. You know, it's like not a lot of FI for the things around that he's shooting at or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
I'm thinking those are my property, and he recognizes that the squirrel is sometimes smart, and we'll have this like time where he's like waiting out for the squirrel, and the squirrel goes a little bit closer, and then turns away, and then goes back. Like, he'll describe the whole like he's hunting.
Well, you know, my dad was raised on a farm for part of his childhood in Pennsylvania, and no doubt shot at things that ate the plants, I guess. Probably.
He's a good shot.
So you know, he's always included some sort of, I guess it's not a firearm, but some sort of projectile shooting thing into his assemblage of various tools. Now, for all the time when I was living here before, he and I did all the yard work and stuff. We didn't have any gardeners, so he had all the tools for keeping a home. He had a lawnmower, he had leaf blowers, he had leaf trimmers, he had everything like that, right? And he'd have like the tub of like a weed killer that sometimes he'd spray on the driveway to keep the weeds off of it. And he'd have like insecticides, and it's like my mom really hated that. Like, she didn't like the idea of spraying poison around, and my mom didn't like the idea of shooting at things and stuff. So, I was always on my mom's side regarding that stuff. Like, my mom and I both found it quite tragic when, despite our expressing lots of fears about it being killed, the remodel of the house, they were unsuccessful at building the deck without killing the maple tree. And they killed the maple tree, which is a big, beautiful maple tree back here. It was tragic.
That's so. I can relate. Oh.
And my dad didn't care.
No.
He just thought, oh, good, I don't have to clean up those leaves anymore.
We used to have maple trees in front of our place when I was in New York, and because they were ruining the sidewalks, they had to pull them up, and I still miss those trees. They could give shades life. It must have been very pretty, that maple tree.
Yeah, it was.
Did it change color?
Oh, yeah. It was big, beautiful, a magical tree. It's like, as a little kid, you stand underneath it and you look up, and it's this massive thing. Makes me sad. Well, that's F5 for you. Always getting in the way of a good time. Aunt Jemima's now Pearl Milling Company. They got rid of the Aunt Jemima name. Well, can you picture her? Can you picture Aunt Jemima at their offices? Now, let me get this straight. You firing me in the name of racial equity. But I'm a black woman. Yeah, but you're not the right kind of black woman. I'm Aunt Jemima. I made you these pancakes. They's good. Yeah, we don't allow you anymore. You're not legitimate. But this is how I is. Sorry, you're too racist. But you're fired. How's that not racist? Oh, no. This is racially progressive. I don't get it though. If I'm Aunt Jemima, can't be racially progressive. I'm a black woman. I'm not going over it again, Aunt Jemima. You're fired. Get out of here. We don't want your kind around here anymore.
Can she sue?
She's not a real person. That's the thing. You just shut your mouth and eat your pancakes.
Did you ask him if she had buttermilk?
Now look here. I went to all the trouble to put buttermilk in these pancakes. You best be eating them. Mm-hmm. Aunt Jemima, you are absolutely adorable. I love your anachronistic racial identity. That's racist to love that. I love it, from afar. I don't love it intimately. I love it in the same way that I love that that people lower their cars and make them bounce up and down. I love that it is so, because it's all part of the beautiful absurdity of humanity, right? I don't actually identify with it at all, though. All right, so I want to know, which employee at the Pearl Milling Company made the recipe for Aunt Jemima pancakes? Was it an employee actually named Aunt Jemima? And if so, why are they denying her due credit?
That's actually a very good question. I don't think she gets enough credit.
I think she's a very important lady. Now, it's possible she's just a character that marketing made up. If that's the case, then it's a little harder to defend the sustaining of Aunt Jemima as a name. But, you can say it's an homage to old-fashioned racism. It's not like you're saying let's be that way, but it shouldn't be offensive so much as absurd at this point, right? Like what I'm saying is this. Let's say you went to the library, and there was a dark-skinned librarian behind the desk, and you were to say, hi, can you help me find the book A Bridge Too Far? It's a World War II book. And she stands up and she goes, why, yes, sir, Mr. Customer, sir. I'd be happy to help you. I help you right away. I mean, what would you think? Wouldn't you just, it's not like that's a reality that anybody encounters. Although I will say I encountered something very much like that in Alabama about 12 years ago or something. No, it wasn't quite that long ago. Probably 8-10 years ago. I don't know. Anyway, in the hotel in Birmingham, when I went downstairs and they had some coffee, and I wanted to know if it was complimentary, if you had to pay for it. So I said, is this coffee complimentary or what? And the guy said, oh, yes, sir. Help yourself, sir. And I was just like, okay, thanks. It was really, what year are you from? Wait, are you from 1946? If you've never seen the film Holiday Inn, it has this hilarious scene for President's Day, Lincoln's birthday, in which they have, the character who typically played Mammy in those old movies was this one. There were two ladies really one of two ladies basically played Mammy in the old movies. So in the old movies, like in the 40s, there was often a character who was a large black woman who like took care of the kids and cooked and stuff, and who was frequently named Mammy. And she'd be like, "Oh, Miss Johnson, I'm worth so much about you out there with the baby." And well, Mr. Johnson know best. Stuff like that. You know, it was like really that interestingly, well, one of the two ladies who played Mammy was got really rich doing so, lived in Los Angeles and employed a bunch of white people as servants. Which is kind of funny. It's like, talk about a middle finger, you know. I appreciate the double middle finger there by Mammy. She was apparently a bitch, a complete bitch, like, you know, busted chops everywhere she went and wasn't having it, you know, because in the movies she always had to play Mammy. You know, oh, I'm so happy to please. You gotta serve yourself. Anyway, in the Holiday Inn scene, at the end of, you know, like the big homage to Abraham Lincoln, she is in this like this little cubby. She's got one black child under each arm, and they're all looking up like this at an angle. And she goes, "Thank you, Mr. Lincoln, for setting us free."
Oh my
God. She may even say for setting us colored folk free. She may even say that. I think she does, but I'm not entirely sure. So it's like that sort of stuff. Nowadays, I don't think anybody should feel threatened by that enough to find it offensive. It just seems so ridiculous, you know.
Can I have the bottle of whatever?
Sure. You want to try the Jack?
Yeah.
Piao. The first thing I gave you was the other one.
Oh, it was good.
Hattie McDaniels. That's the one I think I'm talking about. Who lived who played Big Pimpin'. Big Pimpin' Hattie McDaniels, they'd call her. Not really. That's what I call her now at this moment, but it's a good name for her. Big Pimpin' Hattie McDaniels.
It's a really great name for her. Big Pen, Big Sandy Keys.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln, for setting us free. It's just like talk about conferring a lack of agency, right? To be totally satisfied with positioning herself as a victim who's been saved, right? It's hard to explain exactly why it's so ridiculous, but you know, it's funny because it so makes me laugh, and I guess you're supposed to be offended by it, you know. It seems like to be offended by it, you really have to like make an effort to want to be offended by things. It's like I'm also not offended by portrayals of like I don't know, the Irish hating the Scots back in 1600 or something. It's like ancient history. But of course, I live on the West Coast. And I have been to and do recognize that some places in the American South are still actually quite segregated, and not in a way that seems at all natural. Like, to a certain extent, there are neighborhoods that tend to have more people of a given ethnicity than others, and that's just how it is around Los Angeles, but they're not that uniform. In other words, like, you won't really find very many places that don't blend boundaries pretty easy. Like, yes, El Monte is a very Mexican area around here, but it blends very much around the edges with Asian areas, and it's a very diverse area. So
that's what I don't like about Long Island, is that it's not diverse. Like, you could have one of the poorest areas in like the state right next to one of the richest areas, and you know when you're traveling into the poor area, like, it's not. It's really segregated. I really don't like it.
I have played Cards Against Humanity. It's pretty fun. It's not bad.
It's a game like anyone can really play, you know? The rules are simple, so.
Yeah. I think I'm going to play a song or two on the guitar.
Yay!
And wrap up the stream at that point. Good Mother's interesting in that last night she came in and she said she had made some video in which she indicated that, what's his name, would beat me in a debate. Ben Shapiro?
Oh, yeah.
Ben Shapiro, right? That's his name?
Yeah.
For some reason, that was the first thing I thought of, but for some reason it sounded wrong in my head for a second. I mean, I think he's a very good debater. I don't think that I would. I don't feel like. I guess I feel like I don't think you understand debate, really. Raphael says there are a lot of people who you'd beat Eric in debate, or me, or whoever. I mean, my take on it is that the thing I don't like about those kind of questions or points or something is that they suggest that all positions are equal and you're seeing two debaters debate against each other, and that's it. Now, in competition flow debate, that's basically how it is, because you've got a resolution that everybody has to both affirm and negate. In Lincoln Douglas, for example, or in policy debate, you've got somebody who, no, I do want to play Legends Fall. I don't not want to play it. Okay, I'll figure it out. Okay, I'll figure it out. I'm sure it's easy to figure out. So the thing is, where was I going with this? Everybody thinks that therefore debate is like that the better debater wins the debate. But I really don't see things like that so much in terms of my own engagement with people about ideas. I see it as the person who's more correct wins the debate, because I'm not really trying to win a debate when I'm talking with people, even if I'm officially debating them. The reason I'm not trying to win is because if I'm debating a given position on a given thing, it's because it's clearly a preferable position to the one that the other side's debating. So of course I should win. But if I'm wrong, I want them to win. So in other words, if in fact they've got arguments that beat mine, then there are things I haven't considered yet and needed to consider. And I'm happy to lose the debate and know that I'll never be wrong about that again. So the thing is, it's easy enough to want to frame things as Mia is a better debater than Mia. But ultimately, it comes down to who's more correct if they're both good debaters. Ben Shapiro is an excellent debater. He's a former competition debater. I'm also a former competition debater. I'm also a current and former debate coach. I actually have more experience debating than Ben Shapiro does because of it's my job to be a debate coach. But it's likely that to the extent that we disagree, I'm more likely to be right than he is, because for one thing, I can think of a couple areas where he's definitely wrong. So it's like he associates with, he does groupism to a certain extent. I've seen examples of it. And in those instances, obviously, he's taking a wrong path. What if the arguments are truth, but there's no evidence for truth, but they're known to be true? Well, look. Well, I've heard him talk about the left as a general thing, blaming the left for things and stuff. But anyway, the thing about argumentation is that every argument has rhetorical slope. That is to say, some arguments are very easy to win, and some arguments are very difficult to win. And why an argument may be easy to win or difficult to win is what groupism do I do, good mother? Why do you say I also do groupism? I certainly don't do any political groupism. I oppose political groupism. I'm not identifying the groupism of a group of people. I'm identifying the groupism of a specific person. Okay, well, that's a whole different matter, good mother. And the reason is, as I've explained before, to be groupist is to confer an arbitrary identity onto another person or arbitrary attributes on another person because of an arbitrary identity you confer them onto. Okay. So it's like if I assume, let's say, good mother, that you are Asian. Let's pretend I've concluded you're Asian and I confer onto you certain ontological qualities because of that identity that I have conferred onto you as well. Well, those attributes are going to be arbitrary. In other words, the status of what race you are is itself arbitrary. So obviously any linkages I have to that race are going to be arbitrary, and treating you as though you must be an example of that group is reducing you from being an individual to an example of an arbitrary grouping that I've assigned to you. Okay. Now, it is very different than saying something like this. Oh, he's 6'4". He's going to have to duck to get into this doorway. He's part of the group of people who are going to have to duck to get in this doorway. That's an accurate description, right, of the person, and an accurate description of the impact of that quality inherent to the person. So some groupings are actual groupings that are non-arbitrary, and some groupings are arbitrary. Cognitive function stack is not an arbitrary grouping. In other words, it explains a habitual way of paying attention, and it explains why people use different approaches to addressing and thinking about problems, and it is consistent enough that you can correctly predict that individuals will behave in that fashion, and so forth. So, in other words, whether or not the group you assign someone to is legitimate or not depends on whether it's arbitrary. Cognitive function stack is not arbitrary. It is necessary for each individual to have a configuration of these function approaches. And the reason is because there is a finite amount of attention to be paid, and there are two different ways of paying each kind of attention. So one has to have basically a configuration rather than just a random application of them all, because otherwise one doesn't become successful as being an agent moving through time. I mean, the thing is this. It would still be wrong of me to say to you, you can't or shouldn't feel a certain way, want certain things, aspire to certain things, etc., because of your type. However, it would not be wrong of me, and would in fact be correct of me, to say to a parent, for example, your child will never learn how to ideate. Like, you keep being so frustrated by your ISTP daughter. This is a client I have, right? She's got an ISTP daughter, and the daughter's very brilliant when I'm doing certain things with her, and incredibly stunted in certain other ways. Her mother wants to remediate her lack of extroverted intuition. I explained to her mother, you can't fix that. That's not a problem. It's who she is. it is inherent to her that coming up with random ideas on the fly, random words and stuff, is her blind spot. When pushed on to do it, she freezes up and says nothing. There's no way to teach her how to do that. It's a bad idea to try to get her to pay attention in that modality, because she will always be terrible at it. Even if she spends a lot of time practicing it or attempting to do it, it's going to be very uncomfortable and it's not going to have any good impacts. So that's what cognitive functions allows me to do, is to explain to people that having a given attentional strength or attentional priority, having a given attentional priority means having a given attentional strength. And it also means having a given attentional weakness. And it means a lot of other things mechanically in terms of relationships. In other words, because I'm always making ideas, saying words out loud, answering questions, addressing what people are saying here, and making new live streams, as a consequence, I am not always organizing what I've already made, making sure that the utility of what I've already made is maximized, tagging stuff very well, and other stuff like that. So it's interesting that you keep coming in here and, good mother, and not responding to what I'm saying at all, and talking about other people being better than me. Why is that? Because the thing is, what I'm explaining right now is the best explanation there is for cognitive functions. You come in here and talk about how a ssuartscire, you like where a ssuartscire's taking it. I'm a debate coach, and that I'm extremely effective, good, knowledgeable, correct about politics and public policy and arguing and stuff like that. You come in here and you tell me that Ben Shapiro is better than me. So why do you think it is that you're doing this? Is this something you do with everybody? So if you were to go to Ben Shapiro's channel, would you say, I think that Mia is better than you at debating Ben Shapiro? This is your general approach to dealing with people? Or what? People's natures are a result of their environment. People can develop. Well, I think there's broad consensus that people are both of nurture and nature. Some aspects of the self are of nurture and some are of nature. I don't think there's any sane person disputes that. And how much exactly comprises, how much of a person's behavior or personality, affect or whatever comprises a nature component, and how much comprises nurture is somewhat in dispute, but increasingly it seems more nature than nurture, that mostly pathological issues are of nurturing or failure to nurture's consequence. So it's like we see nurture come into play when it's not done properly. Trauma plays out as BPD, for example, attachment disorders, etc. But we don't typically see nurture explain a lot of stuff that's not when you have the good enough mother, as the theory goes. It's weird how you never seem to respond to what I say, good mother. That's not what I asked you. You say, my ultimate goal is to repair the social contract between the sexes that feminism has destroyed, the initial polarization between the sexes. But what I asked you was, why is it that you come in here and your response to when I'm talking about, I'm just talking about debate matters, not related to me being better than anybody or anything like that. I'm just talking about something debate related. You come in and you say, here's a person who's better than you at debate, Eric. And I'm going to make, not only say it to you, but I'm going to make a video about it. Then the next day you come in here and you say, here's a person who's better than you at typology. Azura Psych, you should go watch him. He knows what he's talking about. Why would you? No, good mother. That's exactly what you said when you first came in this morning, last night, right? About Ben Shapiro, right? That's exactly what you told me. Whatever. like I said, I'm gonna play guitar and okay, well, fine. You said I like where Asura is going with the functions. At the exact same time that I'm explaining functions as they're best understood. You like what he's doing, bringing him into masculine and feminine. Well, that's not a correct interpretation of functions, so you like the wrong thing. Come in, Dad. You need help with the phone?
Well, maybe you can figure this out.
Hold on a second.
Are you currently?
And tape that and push Alt Tab. Hold Alt down and push Tab. There you go.
Ah. Hi, Tiny Man 66. What's going on, peeps? I was just watching. I'm really fascinated by plastic surgery, and I was just watching a video of this influencer, YouTube influencer, who she basically fakes the look of plastic surgery with makeup, and it's a good tutorial. But I disagree with it in a way because, I mean, if you look side by side, you can't tell. You could totally tell that, like, she's had plastic surgery done. Like, there's only so much makeup can do. I have to go to about have Colin. She's a gender studies professor at my local uni. There, y'all. I had a gender study professor at my local, not my local, but at my university, and she hated my guts. She thought I was a terrible student. And in that class I was, because I didn't care about gender studies. Oh, I wonder who's calling my phone. It's probably spam. What's up, Boba Fett? So yeah, I'm wondering, both men and women of TWFP, what are your thoughts on, one, what are your thoughts on YouTube influencers, and two, what are your thoughts on plastic surgery, just in general? It fascinates me because it seems like more than ever it's been used publicly and talked about publicly more than ever, and it seems like it's pretty easy to get plastic surgery. So it's like, where it once was like something that was like really hidden and like or overly noticed. Like boobs were really, really popular in getting your boobs done in the 90s. Do you, Diamond? You think that most influencers are not natural? I mean, I think that you're probably right. I think that there's a lot of people who airbrush too. Meg Ryan was a sad case in plastic surgery history.
So with Tara Reid.
So yeah, same with Tara Reid. That was a mess of a boob job. Rafael Alvaro says, well, plastic surgery is possible, and if you want to do it, go for it. I don't think it makes one happy, but obviously people who do it think differently. Yeah, I think they do think differently. I think they do think that getting plastic surgery will bring them happiness. I was just telling them how when your dad came in, I was watching this video about an influencer who makes her makeup look like she has plastic surgery, but she's also clearly had plastic surgery. Yeah.
I had plastic surgery on my belly
Did you?
to unfatten it.
Ooh la la!
See that?
That's a happy Buddha belly.
Yeah. I had my belly fattened at this plastic surgeon. That's how I attained my new all-time high weight of 194 pounds.
Wow.
Congratulations to me.
That is congratulations to you. Winston's mom says, Rachel, I think most plastic surgery looks odd. I will see a woman my age suddenly show up with chipmunk chips and eyes that reach her hairline. Have you seen Madonna in the bathtub? Sheesh. Yeah, they say that plastic surgery doesn't age well. So like, when you're younger, or even middle-aged, and you get it done, you look pretty good. But then as you age, and your skin loses its collagen, that your face doesn't age with the rest of your body.
I had these things added by plastic surgery as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, my face used to be like flat like this. I said, you know what? I want eye jowls. Can you add some eye jowls to me, please? And the doctor obliged. Cost $50,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. No, Boba Fett. The plastic surgeon gave me these, along with these lines here. I said, can you make it so my forehead has got like these lines across it right here? I drew a picture of it. He said, no problem. That'll be another $50,000. And that's how I got my forehead wrinkles.
Oh, wow.
Also went to Hair Club for Men, and I said, can you please take out half of my hair from like here to here? And that's how my hair came to be like this.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had a lot of work done. A lot of work.
Who knew? You look so natural.
Do you know that these eyebrows are entirely made out of foxtail furs?
Foxtail furs.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get them?
So artificial fur. I had them implanted, surgically implanted foxtail furs.
Wow, was that another 50,000?
No, that was only 12,000.
Oh.
And these eyelashes, they're feathers from the endangered Wallacaca bird of South America.
So
Each eyelash costs $1,000.
I didn't know that the man I was dating is so high maintenance.
Yeah. These pouty lips, Botox I've had several Botox treatments. That's how my lips get so pouty. These aren't naturally this pouty. Well, hello there, big boy. Yeah. Had a lot of work done. My ears used to be a lot smaller.
Do you ever Photoshop your videos?
All the time. This is constantly being photoshopped. There's actually this giant wart right here. It's being constantly photoshopped out of my videos. You guys can't see it. It's disgusting. Rachel was shocked when she first came here.
Oh yeah. I want to like take a screenshot of that one of those faces and then put influencer just host Eric use plastic surgery.
This picture is just right influencer underneath it.
You should go like this too. Give the peace sign. Yeah.
Influencer, right? People would be influenced by that, I'm sure. This is a man who influences me, they'll say. My next plastic surgery is going to make me look like this. I'm going for this look.
Oh, you kind of look like Pee-Pee.
I'm going for like anime kung fu master look.
Baki.
Yeah. Oh. Learn Kindle. Kindle school. Kung fu. Raphael says if he had one choice of plastic surgery, he'd make his penis shorter. It's a good answer. I like that answer. It's an effective answer. And Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Why don't you get one of those things right there, Rachel? Yeah, tambourine or the drum thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or up on a higher shelf is the elephant thing. Whatever one you want. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get the margarine instead of box. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas. When they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought that begins enough to return to the work of that rough. He'll get back to it eventually. But his vision's piled up and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. And now his mind is back on the business, thinking that his backlist to business. Oh, how all the people will shout his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly now. He won't provide explanation, but not in the way of the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Exciting, delighting, Gerald plays his part. And Gerald still knew there's too much to do. He dropped the time in the underview. Too much to rebut. So where now and what? Too much time spent picking this cue. thought. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a thought. Get margarine, tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas. When they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald has a thought. There we go. That was a song. In Hollywood, some of the older male movie stars have their testicles lifted, better for their close-ups.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. El Nino, my ass. You call the storms. Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count. I drizzle more when I be in the sink. And it's just the right height to catch all the undesired splatter. When I'm done, I'll go outside and climb a ladder. I will go up there, take me a bucket and pour water inside. I'll say, hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom of me. One more song that I've been working on. It's a cover. I got memorized now, pretty much. Some people call me a rambling man, cause I do a lot of thumbing and I kick in cans. And real names are good to call me names. My daddy wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'm gonna find me a wealthy woman. A line of work don't take no diploma. I ain't got much to lose and lots to gain. I got one now. I wasn't born and raised in I'm looking for a place to do my thing. I don't need no handout living, no room in the party, anything they giving. I'm proud of my neck out of town, as they. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. Cause a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Small town boy, wait a minute. I gotta work to be somebody. Let me start that one over. Boy, been around a little, and I like guitar and I like the fiddle, and that's the kind of soul that could fan my flame. Blue-eyed Billy, feared and ready. I gotta work just to be somebody. I'm a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. I'm proud of my knockout song, this thing. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get it, you gotta hum and get it. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. I want to take this from the top, see if I can get it through all the way through. Okay. Some folks call me a rambling man, cause I do a lot of thumbing and I kick in cans. I won't do an answer good, call me names. My daddy wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. Well, I'm gonna find me a wealthy woman in a line of work that don't take no diploma. I ain't got much to lose, but loud to gain. You might call me a good time fella, cause I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. I'm proud of mine, knock out the town, everything. But I said a few things ain't out, they did it. If you wanna get it here, you got a home and get it. So I'm looking for a place to do my thing. Small time boy, been around a little, and I like to talk and I like the fiddle, cause that's the kind of soul that to fan my flame. I'm feeling ready. I gotta work just to be somebody. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. I'm proud of mine, knock out the song they sing. Well, I said a few things ain't out, admit it. If you wanna get a hit, you got a home and get it. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. Just a wild boy looking for a place to do my thing. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. That's the whole song, and just the vocal melody like that, you know? Isn't it a snappy little tune?
It really is.
It really bounces along.
Could you do a card reading for me before we go?
Sure. Card number 1.
Oh yeah, I guess like I'm trying to figure out why, and then I remember it was looking at the influencer. I feel like out of.
Somebody tell me an area of thing that this card refers to. An area of thing. An area of thing is what? The earlobe. Everything related to the earlobe for Rachel is all Wheel of Fortune today. Everything related to, it's on Chappie Tracks. The original is the Merle Haggard version. This is, I think, if that's your ears, this is your eyes. King of Wands.
Ah.
Knight of Wands, I mean. Knight of Wands.
Sorry.
Now, those are your ears and your eyes. These are your lips. Your sensual lips.
Ooh, death. Killer tofu.
Well, you know, death and sex have a lot to do with each other. Okay, and your tongue, your voice, you might say, your voice box. Your voice box combined with your tongue, combined with your teeth.
Why would my teeth? Cool.
Well, in other words, your speaking parts.
Speaking parts.
Your tongue, your lingua. Your lingua franca is riding boats. So we've done your ears, your eyes, your lips, your tongue. Now we're going to do your stomach, your lungs,
Oh man. I guess I do worry about that.
your his art,
What's
Page 6. And lastly, your mind. Your brain.
Cool beans.
Pew, 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 pew. That's how it looks, like that.
I like it.
Here, I'll show you all
It's
what it
pretty
looks like.
pretty.
It looks like this. I've stacked it. I stacked it in a special way to make it look more magical. See?
It's so magical. Thank you so much for that read.
Ta-da! I do need a Jethro Tull flute. You're welcome, Rachel. And that will draw this stream to a close. Thank you, those of you who stuck around and hang out with us. Appreciate it. Nice seeing you all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.